Guten Morgen. Good morning, everyone. Greetings and welcome to your day five look ahead, as well as your day four look back at the 2026 FIFA World Cup. This is Phil from Phil's Corner. I'm so glad that y'all can join me once again for yet another recap and look ahead. Now, we just have a little bit of some actions to go through from yesterday, which is day four of the competition. Not much happened, nothing too significant. Of course, that's a lie. That day was full of the most goals that we will probably see in a World Cup day, maybe ever. Maybe not ever because there's more of the competition left, but we had a whole lot of goals yesterday. And starting off with the match, which I predicted was gonna go with a lot less goals, but history was always gonna be made, and history was indeed made. All kinds of history. Germany versus Curacao, the Levano, let's say Levano Comenencia. Comenencia was gonna go down as being the first player to score a goal for Curacao against Germany in the World Cup. Not well, he's the first player to ever score a goal, period, for Curacao, which is the significant thing. So he made history. You'll probably never have to buy a drink again in Curacao. That's a line I stole from the commentator of the match. But yeah, it's a big day for him, big moment for him. He was able to equalize, so for a brief moment in the match, they were neck and neck with the Germans. They were giving them a tough time, as it was. But Curacao made more history. They became only the second team to lose 7-1 in the World Cup match. And Germany made history as being the first team to win 7-1 on two different occasions at the FIFA World Cup. Not all history is good. I say it was all good history. Krakow definitely had some moments to regret in that match, but a goal-filled match was one which we all had fun watching until it got a little bit uncomfortable. Like, oh, stop, they're already dead meme. But goes from in Mecha to start us off, and then Schlotterbeck got the Germans back in the lead after Comendencia's equalizer. After that, we got goals from Kai Havertz from the spot. He had two. Musiala had one as well. Dennis Dennis Undov as well as Nathaniel Brown with the other goals. It was a goal-filled match. The Germans were spectacular. They played as good as they could have. They played as I expect them to play. I'm not sure. I'm not too sure how many people are high on the Germans. I was shocked when Curacao scored, but it's football. It was a shot took a deflection, went over Neuer's hands. These things happen. It just takes one chance. Curacao never really looked threatening after that. But big ups to them. Big ups to them for doing their damnedest, doing their best. At the end of the day, when you're up against superior competition, you're up against superior competition. There's not much you can do in that regard, and there's not much you can get away with. But they did their best, and from there we're going to move on to the next game of the day, which I thought was going to be Netherlands versus Japan, and it did live up in the second half. First half, snooze fest, a lot of like feeling each other out, passing around, just probing. Japan played as you expect them to play a little bit reserved, letting the Netherlands have the ball, but their quick counterattack, their pressure. One thing about the Blue Samurai, you can tell that they are skilled players. They didn't have Karo Mitoma of Brighton, who is obviously one of their better players. But they Takiro Kubo looks like a real star. He's 25, which is he's going towards the prime of his career, but or is he turning 25? Well, I think he's either 25 or 25, going towards the prime of his career, and you could really see that like he's someone that's going to be. If he continues where he is, he could be like how Mo Salah just burst on the scenes in the Premier League and just blew up. Anything's possible really. He is a very good player. He caused them a lot of trouble, but the Dutch were able to hold them off for the most part, and a couple of times looked like they were gonna run away with it. They missed some good chances, some clear chances. Took the lead on the verge of Van Dijk, and that was of course before an equalizer from Nakamura, and then Crescencio Somerville, West Ham gave them back the lead right before the drinks break. Then a lot of probing, a lot of trying from Japan, Again, hard work, high energy, good skill in that team, and finally were able to get the equalizer. I think was deserved. I think a draw was a fair result. And they come out heading heading it home. I think it was deflected off. I think he deflected the ball and went in. Either way, he did his part. There was an equalizer. Good game by the two teams. Followed up as well by I think another good game between and Ivory Coast and Ecuador. Yeah, there wasn't a lot of goals like all the other matches. This is the only game of the day with which had less than 4 goals, which is amazing, by the way. But at least we had a goal, and it's not like for lack of trying. Both teams were really good. Ecuador in the first half, especially, were on top for most part, but then Ivory Coast grew into the game, and they once they got their swingers going, Yan Diamande, Traore, Nicolas Pepe, he was a 70 million pound player at some point, and here and there you can see the flashes. Frank Casey played for Barcelona. This is a good team that they had, and Valencia was a West Ham player as well on Ecuador side, and they have one of the best holding midfielders in the league, and they have a two-time Champions League winner at the back as well. It's both of these teams. You can see the talent, you can see the quality. They just missed out on the finishing, which happens. The woodwork was hit 3 times, twice by the Ecuadorians, once by the Ivory Coast. And then the Manchester United forward Amad Diallo was able to hit home after a fantastic run. It was really a great run by the centre back for the Ivory Coast. Was it single with the fantastic run going forward and then scoring the goal and getting the assist for the goal, which will send Ivory Coast in second place. Obviously, Germany will have a massive goal difference, but I think Ecuador should still go through. They should handily beat Curacao as well. Goal difference will mean a lot for the best third place team, I think, and this is probably a group where the best third place team should manage to go through. I think with a win today in that game, Ivory Coast that should be them set as well. So they should be fine in that regard. And finally, oh, Sweden, Tunisia, letting Africa down. This team qualified ahead of Malawi, by the way. I'm not saying would have done better. Hell, they finished 28 points in the qualification round. We only had 10, so it's kind of a moot point. Either way, I just thought that they would be better. I know I think they've only had scored like 1 goal prior to this in the World Cup, or they have one of those two, and they were poor. They didn't seem like they looked almost as bad as South Africa. And the result is worse, but I actually think Tunisia played football at times. They actually looked confident. They looked like they were trying. Omar Rakik gave them some hope going into the halftime when he made it to 1. But before that, the damage was done. This passing out, playing out from the back, they got caught so many times, and that's where most of the goals came from. When you look at the goals which Gyökeres and Isak scored, both of them really I would say came from mistakes. Or Isak was more the goalkeeper's mistake at the end. But there was an offside moment. I don't know if Isak really touched that ball for Svenberg's goal, if first touch and then he scored. But for that was the fourth goal. But they say he touched the ball. End of the day, it doesn't really matter. I know a goal difference of one, a +1 or -1 goal difference might be telling, but I don't see them getting out of this group really. After losing whoever they lost 4-1 or 5-1, after the way they played, they're not going to beat Japan or the Netherlands really. So it's a moot point in the end. But they one touch, 1 goal for Svanberg, and let's just talk about Ayari. My goodness. Yassin Ayari, deserved player of the match. He was fantastic. Was the Brighton player. He scored some 2 beautiful goals. Where he was excellent. The whole of Sweden were excellent. They could have scored many, many more goals. Gyökeres and Isak both had a lot more chances than they should have of a more competent team. They should have scored more goals. That is definitely for sure. And that will bring us to today's fixtures: Spain, Cape Verde at 12 p.m. Eastern, so in around about like half an hour or so. Belgium, Egypt. That's going to be at 3 p.m. Spain is going to be in Atlanta. Belgium is going to be in Seattle. Saudi Arabia and Uruguay shall face off at Hard Rock Stadium in Miami. It's just going to be the Miami Stadium for FIFA don't we don't really call them by the official stadium names because of the rights, which the sponsorship rights. So basically, yesterday there was game played at the AT&T and Nick Financial Stadium, which are home of the Cowboys and the Eagles respectively, but they were just known as the Dallas as well as the Philadelphia Stadium. Dallas Stadium, not actually in Dallas. Kind of weird, just saying. But anyway, Iran versus New Zealand shall finish us off at SoFi at the Los Angeles Stadium, which is in Inglewood, so whatever. Um, Interesting games. I think Cape Verde will have a match against the Spanish. I think they'll do their best. Gonna give the Spain a window, 3-1 to Spain. Belgium in their golden generation in their last hurrah for them. Still missing some a player like the Hazard brothers, no longer there, of course. And I still think they should have the quality to beat Egypt. Probably will. I'm gonna give Egypt a goal maybe, but maybe two. You know what? Let's say 3-2 to Belgium. Uh, S- Saudi Arabia, Uruguay. Saudi Arabia beat Argentina in the first match of the last World Cup. Remember, Uruguay will probably be too strong for them. I don't see a lot of goals. 1-0 win maybe for Uruguay. Iran versus New Zealand. I shall give it a 1-all draw for them. I need we there's been a draw I think almost every other day, and Australia have given me hope for that part of the world. And that is the end of the show for today. Thank you all so very much for joining in and for spending this time. I hope you're enjoying these videos. If you are, please do leave a comment, leave a like, share the video as well, and drop a subscribe to the channel. We're gonna keep on trying to post all these videos every day as the World Cup is going on, and hopefully more as within the future as well. But until then, thank you all very much for logging in. Have a wonderful start to your week and a wonderful rest of your week. God bless you. Goodbye.